completely that formal, but.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, yeah, I turned my mic on, now you can hear me. Go ahead, you guys can start whenever you're ready, give us your presentation, and we'll have some questions, or whatever, so. I'm sorry you had to sit outside and wait this long.
That's on me.
Thank you for saying that. It's not on us.
No, it's not on you.
No. Go ahead.
All right, thank you for having us here. 8:15, you guys have made it through the evening. We'll try to keep it lively and a little bit relaxed. We prepared a presentation based on the submittal packet that we put together, and I'd like to just walk through that briefly and talk a little bit about our team and our company and what we're about, and then do a little introduction and talk then about your project and go through questions and things you might have. So our company, Thrive Architects, is located in downtown Waukesha, and we're at 259 South Street. We do have 2 other offices. We are only a team of 12. We started the company 9 years ago, and we've grown in that time. And we just strongly believe in serving our clients and putting that mission first. I would passionately apply what we do. Really care about doing a good job, and I hope that comes through today as we talk about the projects. And I think we provide references through all our packet, but I don't believe that there's a single project you'll find that our company's done where if you call the client, they won't say that we went above and beyond, or at least did an excellent job. So I'm proud of that in our time. Our team, this is our team. We have a good group, a pretty balanced group, some senior leadership in architecturally, and then we have some younger people that are learning the ropes, and that's kind of normal for every company. But everyone here has a degree. Most of them are from UW Milwaukee, and everyone at least has a bachelor's degree, and some have their master's. So our team comprises of engineering, architectural, structural, civil, and basically what we do is we consult. So we have architecture in-house, and all of the engineering we hire from outside. So our team we put together comprises of the mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, plumbing, structural, and civil. And I have Kevin here tonight with our civil side. We are prepared to answer any questions you have for the rest of the team too. So I do have a few things that I may briefly want to talk a little bit about in relationship to your projects that maybe you should be aware of in regard to electrical specifically tonight. Some things that we were looking at that you might appreciate. As I mentioned, this is just kind of a little bit of recap, a little bit about the background of our company. We can skip through that. And our story, like I said, I started 9 years ago, and we've expanded to Appleton and Medicine, and good core group of people. A lot of us at the company actually worked together at previous firms and have reconnected. So we have good rapport. I think it's kind of special, when I'm honest with you. All right, so to jump a little bit into the projects, we have been, we've developed a really strong relationship with the City of Pewaukee and City of Waukesha over the past few years, and a few other municipalities, but none greater than those 2 communities. The project you see here was for the City of Pewaukee. The fire department was in need of a storage building for all of their accessory units. So things like lake rescue and things like that. They were parking it all outside, didn't have a place for it to go. So we, this architectural design of this matches their existing building. Dave actually was the project architect on that project. He would be working. So who you see here is who you're gonna have, like we're gonna be through the project all the way from start to finish. That's very important to bring up and mention. But bottom line is this is one project we did for City of Pewaukee. We're currently working under City Hall, which is in here in a second. This is for the City of Waukesha Fire Department. They needed an addition for some additional storage and auxiliary space. We also remodeled the building and
a conference room down in the basement for them, and some, a little bit of interior remodel work along with this.
again, Dave really spearheaded the project and was project architect on it. This is, so the Pewaukee DPW actually was in multiple phases, and for various reasons, they decided that they needed to select another firm for phase 2. And so we came on board to help them with that. And so that consisted of the salt storage building, fuel islands, their refuse area, and basically just designing that and helping them finish up the job. As I mentioned, City Hall, maybe you want to speak further to it.
Yeah, so we're currently working with Pewaukee on a City Hall alteration. The building is a little bit dated. They have some finishes that have been in there since the 80s. So they're looking to freshen it up. They also have some transition, now that they built their new DPW building, they had a lot of staff move out of the City Hall and move into the DPW building. So now they're kind of relocating, and there's a couple departments that want to get a little bit bigger and kind of downsize other departments and move people around. So we've been working with them, I think, it's probably been about a year just on programming and studying and kind of figuring out what's gonna make the most sense of moving people around and shifting things. And I think we're getting pretty close now. We should be getting plans put together this summer sometime so they can start construction on the interior alterations for their City Hall.
So this is a project that has had quite a bit of notoriety in the community. So there was a design competition for the Waukesha Parade Memorial and the Main Street Memorial. And through that competition, we presented this design and were selected to do it. And it's currently under construction. Main Street was installed last November. So we've been working diligently on this and pretty excited to be able to see that take off, and the ground's been broken and we're moving ahead, so. Not the glamorous project that you'd expect, but relevant because it's actually a large gen set, and it's actually more important than it looks, right? So one, put this in here because obviously scope of your project involves electrical and generators and that work. And so we worked with Lydia Petzold, who's one of the engineers that we have on our team here. And this is for actually Milwaukee Public Schools, and this is their administrative building on 42nd of Elite, and this is their entire backup generator to make sure that the entire school keeps going. So we were entrusted with doing that work, and that's they broke ground on it, and they're currently hopefully getting it put together this summer. So one of the things though is lead times, very big deal, lead times. So I'll briefly mention that, but we still are seeing some delays in the electrical side of things on lead times. So. Another project for City of Waukesha Fire Station. This unit is actually a pre-purchase unit, but the coordination on site, and then we actually put in bathroom facilities in the existing building. Yeah, just working with the fire department and making sure that they could get this structure put in place and getting all the approvals, of course, was something that we actually completed last year. This project is completed as well. This was for Waukesha Park and Rec. They did a large storage building, and this is all behind their Park and Rec building in the out by the airport. Everything you're seeing here, we've done in the last 3 years. So there's nothing, everything's very current. This is a study we recently did for the village of Mukwonago for the utilities department. They're in need of office upgrades and storage for all their equipment, they too have they're parking things outside and things are not being kept the way that they probably should be. And so we did a study recently to accommodate all of their vehicles and possibly build a new building just down the street from the current facility. This project's under construction. Again, in most of these, Dave has been the lead architect on it. I don't know if you want to mention anything.
Yeah, I know this is, so, Watertown has their Riverside Park, it's a really nice park, but they had two kind of dilapidated, bathroom buildings, they had a men's and women's. And every summer, I think in August, they have a big festival that comes in, they were looking at upgrading the bathroom facilities, they wanted to combine the men's and women's into a larger building. They had some accessory buildings around the site that they used for concerts and for the summer festival. Oh, I jumped it. So part of the aesthetics of this and the style was to match some of the other surrounding buildings that were nearby, just to, again, get it to fit in with the rest of the site surroundings. And yeah, they are currently under construction. I don't know what their completion date is, but they should be pretty well along on it.
I'd also like to add that Kevin has been our landscape architect and civil engineer on most of the projects. So we're a pretty consistent team. We're not bouncing around. There's a lot of good flow and good energy. Again, just some of our references. I included Waukesha State Bank because I was here for the last few planning commissions, and we know how long those were and what we put together there. So appreciate your time and the effort and the work that was put in. So now let's jump into, if we can, your projects, and specifically talking about what you're proposing. I have no idea how everyone else approached it that we're competing with tonight, but I think from the packet and the RFP, we were able to get a pretty good outline of what you're looking to do. I would say that at this moment, I proposed a percentage-based fee, and I felt we went at that pretty competitively, but once we have scope locked in, we'd be agreeable to lock in our fee too. We don't need to be on a percentage basis once we know the final scope. And so, as we talk about it, look at the dollars on here, I guess take that for what it is. You can kind of work backwards to see what a percentage of cost would be for our fees. And I wrote out here what I think fees would be as you pushed it forward from your previous studies. Now your studies are gonna change a little bit, but let's say they were in the ballpark. I tried to apply inflation and work those numbers forward. The only one that I struggled with was project 3 with the electrical. I actually noted, I think it's probably underpriced based on the scope that we looked at, but there's some overlap in the projects. So the fire department project overlaps with some of that electrical, and so maybe the numbers are fine and it's in the fire department project side of it or whatnot. So it's hard to know where those breakdowns really occur. But the bottom line is that 7% fee would be pretty much across the board on project 1 and 2, which is fire department remodel and new DPW building. You can, yeah. And then on the project 3, it's a smaller scope, so I did push the percentage up on that portion just because the dollar volume is so much lower. We pretty much had to, but we're comfortable with those fees. I did outline exclusions in the document.
What is the fee?
7% of the cost of construction, and then the third project is 10%. So the electrical portion is 10%. And I guess I just want to open it up to questions and discussion. Before I jump into that, I just want to mention a couple things on the electrical side. Well, depending on timelines, which I don't know your timelines right now, I'd be interested to hear, but We Energies with the electrical changes, We Energies is going to be a big player in this, and we would want to get them involved really early on before you continue to spend time designing, because they might really impact and drive some of the decisions that are made. Especially with new transformer and service upgrade from 240 to 208. As I mentioned, the lead times on electrical is still continuing to be an issue, so like some of the generators and things like that, the lead times are still way out there, longer than we'd anticipate. It's one of the only things that seems to be hanging out there that hasn't caught up from COVID for some reason, but. So again, planning ahead. And then there's the obviously critical service issues like fire department. We'd wanna make sure that through this project that we can maintain electrical and the services to that through the project, because it's life support level things, so. Now I'll yield it back to, since we're formally here, I'll yield it back to you.
Questions, guys?
Can you go back to the last slide for the electrical part? Sorry, I get to read all that.
I have a question. You mentioned this problem with the electrical, getting electrical, components installed. Is that because you can't get the parts? Is that what you're saying?
The distribution channels are still backlogged.
Really? I mean, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the physical generator, or are you looking at what parts?
Yeah, it depends on the projects and equipment and what you're trying to pull. Specifically in this regard, generators, larger projects, service size, generator sizes have been, I guess, where some of the issues have been with lead times.
How far is the lead time on them?
I don't have that totally.
What's your guess?
Yeah. Okay.
I've got a project right now, the genset's out a year, the switchgear's out a year, and the transformer's out 9 months with the energies.
Okay. How does that relate to Generac Corporation over here, who manufactures the physical generators and things? That's not the problem. You're saying the other things, like the transformer, are the problem, correct?
Well, it depends on who's supplying it, but yeah, getting the actual physical generators, backup generators, and getting them installed is the problem.
So you can't get them from, are you using a different manufacturer, or, well, is everybody the same?
It's across the board.
I'm sorry?
It's across the board. You can't physically get the equipment. There's a backlog from the factories. We had a project that we had to rush it on. We actually bought used refurbished switchgear, and that still took 3 months. And we only needed 400 amp, and I'm not electrical, I'm civil, but I listen in on the conversations. They bought used equipment, they bought 1200 amp switchgear and downrated it to 800 amp switchgear, which means they actually paid more for the switchgear, but they were only getting 3 months instead of 9 months. And it still takes 2 to 3 months to refurbish the used equipment to bring it back up to standards.
Is that something that is viable? Or, I mean, are the refurbished products
They're completely.
good? Are they good? I mean,
Yeah, they take the whole thing apart and put them back together. Again, I'm not electrical, but just from the conversations, it's the same. I mean, I don't know if this is gonna have an elevator in it, cause it's a second story, but elevators are the same way, they're a year out, depending on the size of an elevator.
Yeah, that one's dependent on the size of it for sure. I do have a project right now, it was 3 months delayed. on the elevator.
Jeremy, you said that this is all back up from COVID, is that correct?
Well, that's when we started to see delays throughout, the supply chain everywhere, right?
Right?
And so, at that time, we were seeing it with everything. We were seeing it with HVAC equipment, we were seeing it with basic supplies. Yeah, bar joists and buildings. There was a time when we couldn't even get that. So all of that's cycled through now, and we're not seeing those as problems. I mean, precast walls, tilt-up walls, precast plank. There was a time in which it was,
12 months,
Yeah.
15 months to get precast panels for
Yeah.
you know, exterior
But
walls.
they've caught up on all
Yeah,
that.
they're better.
You know, it's just electrical that we're still seeing.
Yeah,
that.
certain parts of the electrical components and, you know.
Start an
certain
electrical
lines and stuff,
company.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I just thought about that, I was thinking of doing that.
I think it all has to do, they can't get workers too, qualified workers. We are talking about a very basic social issue here that has
Yep.
come to the forefront. And, you know, it's just an unfortunate thing we have to deal with. It's hard.
Yeah, and it's just something, just planning wise, that we need to be aware of as a group, that we just need to plan for it. We'll find a way to work through it, but we have to plan for it, so.
They're always, it'll figure it out, it always does get done one way or another, maybe not as timely as you think, but it does happen, so. Anybody else have questions?
Not that I wanna be the only one having the questions, but I have another question here.
Well, we want you to have questions.
Why does the city of Waukesha use you for one project and then use your competitors for another project? It doesn't, are they individual projects that are just bid differently? Is there no relationships within these businesses?
I'm not sure which project you're referring to, but, there's so like for us, what we have is, we have a contract with the city of Waukesha.
Sure.
And they gave us, it was a 2-year contract, and they offered that to a couple companies. And they accepted those companies. And then internally, the staff decides who they wanna use. And so that's how they did it. And then, yeah, and then they gave us they just said, we like what you did, and they renewed us just recently.
Yeah, they renewed our contract, but yeah, to his point, we'll get calls from the city that, hey, we have these 3 projects, what's your workload, what's your schedule look like? We're thinking of giving you this one, we were gonna give this to the other guy, but depending on, like, one of the, firms that they contracted with was more structural engineering oriented. So if it's strictly structural engineering, typically they give those projects to him, whereas if it has an architectural design component, they would give it to us. But there's a lot of dialogue with the city with, you know, all right, these are the projects we're looking at, which ones are a good fit for you, or you know, how do we approach this? And
Essentially, they had an RFQ and an interview process much like this for the AE on call.
Mhm.
They selected 3 teams. So they have 3 separate firms, and so then they just divvy up the work between the 3 firms. So that's why they pick different firms. And that's fairly common.
Yeah, we recently, Milwaukee County recently did the same thing. And that was a massive outline of projects,
And they select several suppliers,
yes.
of course. Okay, well,
On that topic, is Milwaukee the same way? Cause you referenced one of the projects up there.
You wanna talk to them? No, Pewaukee is basically, they have had good working relationship, and they just call us.
yeah, I think they were, when we did the fire station project, both Chief Bierce, with the fire department there, I think he's with the state code council too. Him and the city administrator, Scott Klein, they were very happy with the relationship we had and how things went. So they've continued to just call on us for whatever, you know, small projects they have or things that they think would be a good fit. They just give us a call and offer it to us, so.
Okay. Good. More questions? Gentlemen, I thank you for waiting.
Oh, thank you.
You know, we wanted to do this with you guys face to face with everybody. I think it's a much better arrangement.
Oh, it's, yeah,
So,
definitely.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Apologize again for messing that up, guys.
Well, that's-
That was totally on me.
It didn't cost us anything. You guys are the ones that sit out in the parking lot and wait.
At least like someone said it, we got here early, you know?
Well, our offices are close. I actually
Yeah.
just went back to my office and did work and came back. So
Yeah, it was
it's-
productive.
We're 15 minutes away.